Bom dia. Bom dia.
Dim, dam, dadilam, vacarme s'en va dans l'oubli éternel. Et Gustave, dom guardiam, dilim, dididididam, lutessera dodidom, seram. Dim, dim, da, 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 dim, da, 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 dim, da, di, dam. Dim, dim, da, 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 dim, da, 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 dim, da, di, dam. Dans là-haut sera ravi, les toits à sur noir gris fera. Clair, obscur, trouble de rature, couvrera effet. Clair, obscur, bordé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. Clair, obscur, double de rature, courbera effet. Clair, obscur, bordé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. Ô clair, obscur, trouble, rature. Clair, obscur, guardé aux peintures. Clair, obscur, trouble de rature, couvrera effet. Clair, obscur, guardé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. Clair, obscur, trouble de rature, couvrera effet. Clair, obscur, guardé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. obscur troublera-tu clair obscur guardé aux peintures clair obscur troublera-tu trouveras effet clair obscur guardé aux peintures trouveras sans elle clair obscur troublera-tu trouveras effet clair obscur guardé aux peintures trouveras sans elle.
Hello, comrades. Good morning. I'm already partway through. I need to put ad block on because I need to get rid of those stuff. I need to see if I can get ad block on my husband's computer. But how is everyone this morning? How are you all? Thank you. I think I got this. I think this is from the Target Pride section like 4 years ago. E33, my beloved. Yeah, we've been enjoying it over on stream on Sundays. I'm doing an expert mode, girls only run, and I pushed through a lot of overtime playing on Sunday so that I could try to get closer to collecting CL. So we don't do a spoiler free because I've played it before. I'm not doing like a spoiler free playthrough on Sundays, but we're doing an expert mode, girls only run. I guess the boys will just sit at camp. I am Madeline's mod. Yes, I am. And we just got to the Jestrel camp, so we're enjoying meeting all of the Jestrels and seeing how fun and silly they are. El Gustav, yeah. I am Madeline's mod. Thank you, Hegel's Big Dialecticals. I appreciate that. I do a pre-Madeline stream, so after we're done here, I will raid Madeline, and then after Madeline's done, we raid Larry. And depending on who's live after Larry, we raid like Lennon Smesh sometimes. So we have a whole content creator Marxist-Leninist train that goes essentially all day, a few days a week on Twitch. It's excellent. Tank tube. Love the little guys. Yeah, the Jestrels are great. Girls is the only way. Mael and Lune are already tanking, carrying, nuking everything. We haven't done much. Mael and Lune are already extremely powerful. Yeah, tank tube. So today I have for us this article that came out May 27th. So this was published yesterday. And this is talking about the ongoing hunger strike inside of a New Jersey ICE detention facility. I'm a recipient of the tanky commie train sometimes. I appreciate it. That's excellent. Yes, we have we're working on building like a whole coalition movement in the Discord. So we're looking for tankies, Marxist-Leninist creators, content creators, etc., to all sort of build like a side structure online that's similar to how BreadTube is. Like they'll recommend each other, they'll feature each other, etc., and collaborate with each other. But the problem with BreadTube is that their politics are extremely muddied and blurry. So we're looking for like highly principled tankies, Marxist-Leninists, anti-imperialists, anti-colonialists, people who support actually existing socialism, like Cuba, Venezuela, the DPRK, China, Laos, etc. People who are always opposed to Western hegemony and trying to just create a really strong principled network of creators to collectivize our viewership and hopefully broadcast to people en masse that there is a movement growing and we are ready for change. That is our goal. Welcome, Ego Bear, sorry. So there is a hunger strike happening in New Jersey at an ICE detention facility, and I want to read about it today. BreadTube gets weirder and weirder. Also, every time I look it up, I feel like there's like 30 new names. I swear, this fake BreadTube network, because it's not a real thing. It's just as like superfluous and like unofficial as like TankTube is, where it's just sort of like we're collaborating together and making an acknowledgement of that. But I feel like there's just always more names that I'm like, oh wow, they've collected a whole bunch of new ideologies. They've collected like 6 new ideologies since the last time I checked. Let's get to reading about this. The battle over Trump's immigration crackdown comes to a parking lot. Oh, you don't have to worry, Lime's Floofy Otaku. If there's a chance for a discussion, we will have a discussion, because Marxist-Leninists like to talk over things, and if a correction is necessary, we will give opportunities for correction and growth, but don't stress too much about it. For 5 days, activists have gathered outside a detention center in New Jersey to denounce conditions inside. Federal officials rejected concerns. So this was written by Anna Lee and Mark Bonamo. Atop an empty patch of pavement in Newark, dozens of demonstrators arrived at dawn on Tuesday, hoisting cardboard protest signs in front of them. In front of them, an armored vehicle rolled up to a cordon of federal agents who carried rifles and metal batons, their bodies concealed beneath the rising sun in helmets, flak vests, and balaklavas? Not to be confused with baklava? Balaklava. I do need to look up what that is. Hold on. Sorry, we're already getting distracted. Oh, it's the hood thing. Balaklava. It's a ski mask. It literally says here, a balaclava, also called a ski mask, or a racing mask, is a piece of cloth headgear. Yeah. Okay, New York Times. For 5 days, the two sides have been in volatile. I feel like choosing not to call it ski masks was a choice, right? Blah. Oh, no, you're just saying blah. I thought you were correcting my pronunciation for a second there. I feel like choosing balaclava was a choice, unless they're just trying to flex their vocabulary. For 5 days, the two sides have been in a volatile standoff outside Delaney Hall, a federal detention center that has become a symbol of President Trump's immigration crackdown. A stream of activists have cycled in and out of a parking lot to support what they described as a hunger strike by detainees. For months, the incarcerated migrants have complained to family members and elected officials about rotten food, inadequate medical care, have complained about rotten food and inadequate medical care. Democratic elected officials have expressed outrage over the migrants' living conditions. On Tuesday, emotions were inflamed. Some activists taunted the agents, and one woman sobbed inside a tent. As the day grew hotter, the stench from On which side? On the activist side or the ICE agent side? Was there just like an ICE agent crying inside of a tent? As the day grew hotter, the stench from the nearby Passaic River, fetid from raw sewage, permeated the air. The authors of this article are really descriptive. Do you ever feel bad for the people inside the facility? Adam Cry, an activist, asked one of the masked agents. Rebecca Brunner, 37, volunteers with a group that had set up a tent labeled as a radical hospitality zone, where activists seek to comfort relatives and friends of people who are in Delaney Hall, which is part of Immigration and Customs Enforcement's network of detention centers. What do we think of radical hospitality zone, chat? A place where activists seek to comfort relatives and friends of people who are in Delaney Hall. When I've been robbed, the majority of the time they are wearing a balaclava. Oh, good morning, Rice Basket. Good morning, Comrade Lilith. Antifa groupie, how often have you been robbed? So you don't have to answer that question if it's a sensitive subject. Sounds like the coolest hotel. Hospitality feels a little clinical, but I like the sentiment. It sounds woke, but in a bad way. I am wondering what the practical effect of it is. I think it's, yeah, a noble effort, I think, is maybe the best way to describe it. I'm wondering what the practical effort that it they're hoping to achieve is like maybe comforting the crying family members is supposed to make the ICE agents feel bad if you do it in front of them. But I feel like you could also just I feel like you could support them in like their homes and not in a tent in front of the detention facility. Also, if they're family of the people in the detention facility, are they how much in danger are they being that close in proximity to this facility? I care what happens to these people and their families, Miss Brenner said as her eyes welled with tears. This whole thing is going to escalate. The Department of Homeland Security, which is the parent agency of ICE, dismissed accusations that detainees were being subjected to inhumane living conditions. In an email sent, which we know is true, we know that they're being kept, 25 people to a 3-person cell. It sounds great to help families, but not great to actually help the main issue. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to like say is in like a question format, I guess, is what is the practical use here? Is you're comforting the family in the moment, but their family is still locked up inside that building right now, and the situation hasn't really changed or resolved. In an email sent on Tuesday afternoon, the agency said that there was no hunger strike at Delaney Hall at this time and urged people who are being detained to self-deport. That's from within their cell that they're locked in. They're supposed to just like raise their hand and say, "Okay, you can get rid of me." I wouldn't necessarily call this self-deporting. Like as if they have a choice. It's either self-deport or wait to be deported. Quote unquote self-deport. You have the option of doing it on your own right now. And if they choose that, they're going to act like, oh, those people are self-deporting. When that's not the reality. The reality is that they either have the choice. They have like 3 choices, right? It's self-deport, wait to be deported, hope that the liberals can get them out. I think a lot of people are just trying to show up but don't really understand how to make it work. The collective feels all over the place. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't actually understand what they could practically do to get these facilities shut down, and so they show up to protest because it feels like it's the most accessible option to them. People have been detained while self-deporting. Oh. And so it's like, what's the, like, while going through the process, or like, we've seen people come out of immigration court having won their case and like the right to be here in the USA from a judge or whatever, only to be immediately scooped up by ICE once again walking out of the courtroom. Like, none of this is really meaningful in any practical way because they're flexing this power anyways, this Gestapo essentially. For many illegal aliens, this is the best health care they have received their entire lives. The Department of Homeland Security said. ICE has higher detention standards than most U.S. prisons that hold actual U.S. citizens. How do we feel about the sanitation standards of ICE facilities? How do we feel about the health standards? This is an article from the American Immigration Council. Former detainees describe horrific conditions in detention. Border Patrol agents overcrowded holding cells. Temperatures so low that the cells are known as hieleras, a specific word for icebox. There are no beds. Individuals sleep on hard benches, the concrete floor, or in one instance, a van. The lights in the cells are left on all night. Individuals are unable to wash their hands after using the toilet or eating because there is no soap or towels in the cells. They are also not allowed showers, no matter how many days they are detained. Mothers are not provided enough diapers for infant children or women with a sufficient supply of sanitary napkins. There are often not enough toilets, and toilet paper is not restocked. The cells are filthy, and the smell is terrible. Individuals are not given enough to eat or are given food that is not edible. Individuals are not given enough water to drink. Individuals are not given medical assistance when they need it. Border Patrol agents engage in threatening, abusive, and coercive conduct. Border Patrol agents do not allow individuals to make phone calls. Not long after the federal agency's email arrived, the American Civil Liberties Union of New Jersey issued a statement insisting that, for days, hundreds of detainees at Delaney Hall participated in a hunger strike to protest mistreatment. The ACLU of New Jersey said that migrants at other detention centers had engaged in similar acts of resistance. They're in cells so overcrowded the toilet is often next to where they sleep. Other accounts have said that the toilet is the only source of fresh water in some facilities. Yes, there's also been reports of they don't use, people aren't using the toilet, that just the conditions are just so horrible. People are filthy, the space is filthy, and it's just because of the conditions that they're being kept in. It's not for any other reason than that. They're malnourished, they're dehydrated, they're not rested. They can't rest. They can't clean themselves. They can't take care of themselves. They're being tortured. They're being abused. They are not, hardly any of these people are probably in, a fully functioning, cognitive capacity because the ICE agents are doing their very best to make them, in the worst condition they possibly could be, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. It is literally torture. It is nothing less than torture. Sounds like what the flotilla activists were describing in Israel. Yeah. And we know that the Israel IDF trains are modern day police forces because the IDF has been allowed to essentially, without any sort of barrier, practice and develop their cruelty unrestrained against Palestinians, that is why they now come back to America to train us, even though Israel is essentially a functioning super colony of the U.S. It's because they were oh well, we had the freedom to do whatever we wanted without any restraint. And so we'll teach you what we've learned and how to do it. The ACLU of New Jersey said that migrants at other detention centers had engaged in similar acts of resistance. Some Democratic officials in New Jersey had called for the closure of Delaney Hall since the Trump administration reopened it last year, including Governor Mikey Sherrill, Senator Andy Kim, and Representatives LaMonica McIver, Lilia Mejia, Rob Menendez, Frank Pallone, and Nellie Pau. Hello, Dorian Sapiens. Welcome. Detention centers aren't even subject to the minimal human rights standard prisons are held to. And they aren't making the effort to even have a minimum standard. Israelis are always in our training centers in NJ. Ego Bear, can you give us any context or insight on Mikey Sherrill? I don't know the name at all. I understand that they're a governor, but I don't know the name, or probably I've heard anything about them. And a lot of them are training in our police departments for more extreme situations. Corey Herbig, 49, lives in Parsippany and works in government affairs. She periodically joined the protests outside Delaney Hall during the weekend and was among a group of demonstrators who were the target of pepper balls and spray on Monday during a clash with the agents. Senator Kim, who said that he had tried to de-escalate the standoff, was among those affected. Ex-CIA. So I wonder what their their motivation for this is. The crowd of protesters has arranged with like pressure relief. Oh, do you know anything about Senator Kim? Rice. Oh, sorry. Just you. If since it seemed like you are in New Jersey, so I wanted to ask if you could give us just like a quick summary of Governor Mikey Sherrill. Oh, copy that. I misunderstood our training centers in NJ as you are in NJ now. That's my bad. I apologize, comrade. The crowd of protesters has ranged from a few dozen to more than 100, with dozens of federal agents responding. I was at the Memorial Day parade in my hometown watching my son march in the marching band, and then I was getting tear gassed, Ms. Herbig said. If they're doing that to us outside, I can only imagine what's happening inside, where no one is looking. I will say, this is the second mention that these activists have brought up about the people inside the facility, and this is something that I talk about. Kim is an Apex show. Gross. Something that I talk about often in regards to the liberal protests that happen at ICE detention facilities. Specifically, we're talking about like the frog costumes and the like calisthenics exercises, where I always say, imagine you are on the inside of that facility, and the people who are on your side, who you have to hope will get you out, you look outside the window and you see them doing yoga. You see them dancing to TikTok trending sounds, wearing frog costumes, or you look outside and all of a sudden the parking lot outside your window is covered in dildos because they decided to throw dildos over the fence. Like, you're the person who's been kidnapped. You're waiting for some kind of freedom, and that is the people who are on your side. So it's nice to finally see people putting the perspective of the people inside the facilities into context here in this article, because it's happened twice. But imagine being like going through this like Smash says. Imagine going through this terrible ordeal, and you look outside, and the people on your side are dressed up as frogs doing yoga, inflatable dinosaur suits to own the Gestapo. Remember when they opened the gate and retreated? Is this talking about and the guard calmly went over and closed again? Is it talking about the protesters? I will like usually skim over those kinds of like protests where it's just very for the headlines, for the media, the virality of it. The Department of Homeland Security said that no one was hit directly by projectiles on Monday and described the protesters as rioters who had obstructed law enforcement officers from leaving the ICE facility. According to the department, the agents told the protesters to move out of the way at least twice, but the protesters refused. The agents used the minimum amount of force necessary to protect themselves, the public and federal property, the Department of Homeland Security said. The First Amendment protects speech and peaceful assembly, not rioting, the department said. DHS is taking appropriate and constitutional measures to uphold the rule of law and protect our officers and the public from dangerous rioters. It's the Department of Homeland Security, so I'm just assuming that they're lying. No, that's true as well. Is the prisons really are not held to any sort of hygienic standard in America either. Prisoners are slaves according to our Constitution. They also don't care about. These are prisons for immigrants, right? The ICE facilities are prisons for immigrants. They're just streamlined concentration camp prisons where ICE has like extreme authority, that whereas with the traditional prison system we have the theater of a court case, the theater of a trial, which functionally just serves to like make it justify it. It's like the manufacturing consent machine. Sorry, I'd prefer to say the inventing reality machine. That is the court system. It's used to justify arresting this many people, and people accept it. Um, Representative Menendez, who spent hours outside Delaney Hall since the protest began on Friday, criticized the federal government's deportation campaign during a news conference on Tuesday outside the detention facility. Why are we holding our neighbors and community members in this privately run detention center that can't do anything right? Is it privately run? Is it not run by the Department of Homeland Security? In the last 24 hours, they have tried to shift the focus into what is happening out here, because they want to shift the attention away from all the conditions inside. The illusion of a justice system, exactly. It's comforting to you to think that the courts are there to protect you if you're innocent, but they're not there to protect you. Abdur Yassin, 47, a firefighter from West Orange, New Jersey, was among the group of demonstrators outside Delaney Hall. The conditions in this facility are outrageous, Mr. Yassin said. We have to show dignity. So that is the entire article. Anna Lee is a Times reporter covering immigration in New York City. A version of this article appears in print on May 28th. Oh, it's getting published in print today. All right, comrades. What do we think about the hunger strike? So the Department of Homeland Security is reporting that there is no hunger strike happening, but it seems like everyone else is aware that the hunger strike is happening. Do you think that this facility will get closed down? And what do you think is going to happen if it gets closed down or not? What do we think? If it's privately run, no. If it is privately run, that would be interesting. There's no hunger strike, no protesters are nonviolent. Trump will live to 120. I think Weebcore is right. I think Comrade Weebcore has everything exactly correct. That all of those are true. Sometime this year, I saw someone, Hegel's Big Dialectical, sometime this year, I saw someone traveling between cities and they filmed a field of cotton and there were black men in prisons picking cotton. Absolutely gut-wrenching. Yeah. Something that I think about in terms of, like, how American prisoners are slaves is I think about when the Clintons were in the governor mansion, and there was a long-standing, it might have changed by now, but there was a long-standing policy at the time that the governor's mansion was the wait staff in the governor's mansion was staffed by prisoners. And so while the Clintons were in the governor mansion, they had slaves serving them. They literally had slaves, the Clintons. Yeah. I think there's going to be another shooting before it closes. If it's in New Jersey, I doubt. It depends on who the subcontractor is, and if so, they would just move it. So that's essentially where I was going. I think that they would close it for the purposes of reporting that it got closed in the media, and I think that they would just transfer the victims, the kidnapped victims, to a different facility or just deport them. Essentially, what happened in Alligator Alcatraz is they shut down the facility and disappeared thousands of people. They're not shutting any of these places down. If they shut them down, they'll just move them somewhere worse. Yes, the Clinton slaves. Forgive me for the pessimism, but I'm not holding my breath for this facility to be shut down, at least not as things are now. Like I said, I don't think it would be a positive thing. I think it would, if they were to shut it down, it would essentially just be to report it in the media as a form of pressure relief. Prisoners doing farm labor all along the highways yes, in California we also have what's it called? There's something, in California we have the work release program. Work release is a program where you can essentially ask the judge to waive your jail time, and instead you do unpaid labor once per week, doing essentially what you would consider to be the prescribed volunteer hours or something like that. So these are the people who are doing like weed whacking on trails and stuff like that, or picking up garbage, etc. With the and like carrying garbage bags around. So that's like typically what those are. It's a form of free labor to get the prisoner, like people who would be prisoners in jail. Like again, you have to have been convicted and sentenced to a year in jail. It's free labor to clean up the city from these people. So it's a thank you. Let me go over to the event list. Thank you, tofu with chuche sauce. Yes, they shut down Alligator Alcatraz, and there are still hundreds of people unaccounted for. This one was California too. Oh. Yes, and then the wildfires. So that's something that a lot of people in California remembered specifically had to do with Kamala. Was that Kamala was Attorney General at the time when this happened, and there was a program for people who were like considered like well-behaved prisoners who were supposed to be getting out soon could volunteer to stay in jail and be used to fight fires as cheap labor. And a lot of the families of some of the prisoners who were sued by Kamala Harris and the people under her while she was the AG, they said that their family who were kept in jail did not volunteer to be part of this program, and they were forced to be part of this program because Kamala sued them to keep them in for free labor anyways. So while Kamala's excuse and like the state's excuse for it is, well, these were all volunteers, that's the liberal justification for it. The family of these people are telling us that they were sued against their will. Yes, they were doing slave labor to fight fires. And then they had to adopt a policy after this. We had to make, because people actually got mad about it when they found out, was that these people got out of prison after fighting fires as cheap labor for us, after being sued to stay in jail by Kamala Harris. They would get out and they would try to become firefighters, and it was illegal for them to become firefighters because they had been in prison. So there's now a program, and it takes some time, and there's a lot of hoops to jump through, but now people who go through this program can become firefighters even though they were prisoners, but we use these people, we risk their lives for cheap labor to fight fires, and then after they got out of jail and they had all these skills that they could have used to fight fires more, like to continue to serve their community even realistically, we didn't let them. We said, no, you're a criminal, you were a criminal, we can't trust you to fight fires now. It's absurd. We call her Kamala for a very good reason. Yes. Also suing delinquent children. It like doesn't address the reason why, or not delinquent children, but like the families of delinquent children, which like it doesn't address the reason why children go delinquent. Which for people who don't know, delinquent means that they're skipping school too much. But like the reason teenagers become delinquent is oftentimes because they end up having to support their family or take care of siblings or help take care of elders who need more care. And so instead of addressing the root cause of delinquency, we punished families for children going delinquent. I remember Hassan interviewed the firefighters too. I haven't seen that. Shall we look for another article, comrades? What should we do? And then she laughed about it. She laughed about suing the families of the delinquent kids. I'm looking at Legal Eagle. We might watch liberal lawyer slop, comrades. We. Someone chain Dorian Sapiens down before they can get away. I got sucked into Burger Reich, but my head hurts too much for that today. How is the Burger Reich? I hate her laugh so much, it might even be worse than Hillary's. I really hate Hillary's laugh because it does sound like a program. It does sound like if she opens her... Hillary. Oh, Kamala. We were talking about Kamala. I was talking about how Kamala Harris tried to destroy California during her time as AG General. Well, AG General, Attorney General. Let's go to Al Jazeera. We don't have to watch liberal. The new video doesn't look good. Virgo, since you're a fan of liberal lawyers speak, do you watch Leah Miller? Leah Miller? Leah Miller? I don't know. I don't know who that is. They're talking about the DPRK there. The Guardian wrote about it when they were trying to make her look bad when she was running for president against Biden in 2020. Oh, Bigako loves it there. Yeah, Bigako loves playing with the trolls. At least Kamala laugh sounds real. Hillary sounds like she's seething and trying to play it off. Yeah, Hillary sounds like you told someone who has never laughed before to laugh for you. Yeah, you are on the right page. Okay, I had to just make sure I was sharing the right page with y'all. U.S., Mexico, Canada announce Ebola-related travel measures for World Cup. U.S. Treasury threatens Oman with sanctions over Hormuz Strait. Neymar set to miss Brazil's World Cup's happening. Lots of World Cup stuff on Al Jazeera. U.S. attacks Bandar Abbas again. Why is the port so important for Iran? Poisonous invasion. What is the devil's trumpet harming crops in Iraq? Anti-immigrant anger grows in South Africa as migrants forced onto streets. I'm so stressed about the World Cup. Seattle is going to be a nightmare all month. Where is the World Cup? Is it in Seattle? She starts to morph into Erica Kirk. That is terrifying. RIP my commute. I'm gonna read U.S. Treasury threatens Oman with sanctions over Hormuz. Unless there's a request for something specific. The homos straight, the gay of Hormuz. Gay of homos. It's all over the US. The next Olympics is supposed to take place in LA. That's my nightmare. I am also not sure what's gonna happen. I feel like LA was not a good choice for a host city for the Olympics. California is so crowded already. LA is so incredibly the LA area, which is like not just LA, but the LA area has more people in it than like the bottom like 5 states combined in terms of population. The LA area has more people in it than like 10 individual states or something like that. I can't remember. It might be more. But like the LA area is so incredibly crowded already. I think that the Olympics there was like potentially one of the worst choices. The Brazil World Cup happened with a color revolution, by the way. Oh, that's fun. I apologize. It's awful, plus our main bridge to go in and out is under construction all year, so it takes me an hour to go 12 miles. That sounds like California traffic in the city. Crazy that people want to come here. Yeah. U.S. Treasury threatens Oman with sanctions over Hormuz Strait. A top U.S. official says Oman should know that Washington will aggressively target actors that facilitate tolls in waterway. The United States has warned that it would aggressively impose sanctions on Oman if it helps Iran establish a tolling system in the Strait of Hormuz, intensifying President Donald Trump's threats against the Gulf ally. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said on Thursday that Washington will not tolerate either country imposing fees on commercial ships in the strategic waterway. Oman, in particular, should know that the US Treasury will aggressively target any actors involved, directly or indirectly, in facilitating tolls for the strait, and any willing partners will be penalized, Besant said in a social media post. All nations should reject outright any efforts by Iran to disrupt the free flow of commerce. Tehran's days of terrorizing the region and the world are over. Tehran's terrorizing of the region and the world, huh? Tehran's reason, huh? The statement comes less than 24 hours after President Trump threatened to bomb Oman, a key U.S. ally known for its neutrality and mediation effort in regional crises. It's bribes until the bribes stop, and then once the bribes stop, bomb them. Keep bombing them. Don't stop bombing them. Including the war between the US and Iran. While Iran has suggested that governments in Tehran and Muscat could jointly manage the Hormuz Strait, Oman has said it is not seeking control over the waterway, parts of which flow through its territory. It is not clear what is driving Washington's recent posture towards Oman. It is highly unusual for the US to threaten sanctions and military action against a close security and economic partner. I do think it is a little bit strange for, like, someone considered, like, a strong ally, a key US ally known for neutrality and mediation efforts. I do think it's strange for us to just go, listen, we will bomb you. It's extremely aggro, even for us, which we're known for how aggro we are. Since the US and Israel started bombing Iran without direct provocation on February 28th, see, at least, and then it says here that it acknowledges that it was us who started it, even though earlier we tried to position it. Like, it mentioned that we tried to position it as Iran's terrorizing of the region. That was one of the officials had said. Since the US and Israel started bombing Iran without direct provocation on February 28, Iran has closed this... Oh no, I didn't. I almost clicked on an ad. Iran has closed the strait and claimed sovereignty over it. About 20% of the world's oil flowed through Hormuz before the conflict, so the Iranian blockade has put major strain on energy supplies, sending prices soaring. The US and Iran have been indirectly negotiating to reach an agreement for a comprehensive end to the war, and control over the Hormuz Strait has emerged as a major point of disagreement. Trump has stressed that the strait must be a free passageway. See, this is so funny. The strait is essentially like the first time that America has experienced any form of sanctions. To my husband, this is, I say close all the straits. Am I right, guys? Find It Lesbian is so right. Close all the straits, end the straits, and bomb them. Gay bomb them. Keep gay bombing them. Only the U.S. can bully. Yeah. So this is I when I talk to my husband about this, I say it's like the way that Iran is handling.
They try to develop a gay bomb.
America, thank you, Smash. This is the first time America, the USA, is experiencing economic sanctions. We're the ones feeling the effects on our economy, so we, the people, are experiencing what we do to the people of other countries as a result of the Strait of Hormuz being closed to us. But, like, China's moving through the Strait of Hormuz. China's got no issues moving through the Strait of Hormuz. Russia's moving through the Strait of Hormuz. Russia's got no issues moving through the Strait of Hormuz. We're the ones who are being blocked. And our allies. When asked whether he would accept joint Iranian-Omani control over the strait in the short term, the US president told reporters on Wednesday, nobody is going to control it. It's international water. That's ironic. He means I'm going to control it. It's international waters, and Oman will behave just like everybody else, or we will have to blow them up. Welcome, Kaltamoose. We're reading about how we're threatening to bomb Oman for being neutral at this point. But we were reading in the book club today that Laos became a target, like Laos and Cambodia became targets for wanting to stay neutral in the rest of our ongoing like projects in Southeast Asia, we ended up targeting Laos and Cambodia specifically because their governments were neutralist and wouldn't take a strong position against communist governments. And so our choice, Virgo, I have a soundbite for you if you want to use it like the Friends one. Okay, great. We will, let me copy. But because we were worried that a neutral stance wouldn't be strong enough for us to consider them allies, and that we were worried of the domino effect, was brought up at the end of the chapter, was that neutralist earlier. Yeah, that I was referring to like the neutralist governments from the that we were talking about in the Killing Hope reading. But like being neutral wasn't enough because we were worried about the domino effect and all countries falling to, oh my gosh, is this Gilmore Girls? All countries were going to fall to communism. In the end, because we took action in Southeast Asia, all of the places that we were worried would become communist became communist. And it was a waste of our time anyways. We ended up causing so much destruction and death in Southeast Asia, and Southeast Asia became communist, essentially. Regardless. Let's share this tab.
Emily, hi! Oh, that's nice. That's very high school. Stick with me here. Good to see you. Yeah, that's funny. You know who's behind you? It's Joseph Stalin, my good friend. What are you doing back from the dead, Joe?
Lorelai.
Oh, Mom. Oh, geez, you scared me.
You heard Suki greet me.
Dad.
Okay, Hegels, that was really funny. Joseph Stalin, back from the dead.
Emily, hi! Oh, that's nice. That's very high school. Stick with me here. Good to see you. Yeah, that's funny. You know who's behind you? It's Joseph Stalin, my good friend. What are you doing back from the dead, Joe?
Lorelai.
Oh, Mom. Oh, geez, you scared me.
You heard Suki greet me.
Dad.
No, I think I will add that one. I think I'll probably clip it to like right around here too. Does anyone have the points to buy the Joseph Stalin one? Or the Friends one? There's already a Joseph Stalin. Is this the correct tab?
You know, there
No, I don't
already
think I
is
should.
a Joseph Stalin. You're kidding.
Is this the one? I found it. When asked whether he would accept the joint Iranian... Oh, nobody is going to control it. He means I'm going to control it. Its international waters in Oman will behave just like everybody else, or we will have to blow them up. Ali Bagheri Khani, Deputy Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, said on Thursday that Tehran will not allow Hormuz to be a source of insecurity for the country. The powers that have used this passage against Iran's security must be held accountable, he was quoted as saying by Iran's public television. Which, if you haven't seen the Iranian state media, how they report on our ongoing operations in that region, they're always calling us terrorist America, or like terrorist U.S. forces. The way that Iranian state media is handling their reporting of our operations is incredible. I need points for the fake Lenin quote. I have plans. I can't wait. Everyone's saving up their points. Everyone's too afraid to spend them because they all want to add fake quotes to Mecha Lenin in the Discord. Bagheri Khani added that Iran seeks to establish a just order that negates hegemony and domination and strengthens trust and cooperation in the region. Oh, okay, that's the whole article. Short one. Okay. It looks like we're using the same playbook. For anyone who... Egobert was in the book club this morning. But it looks like we're using the playbook that we always use, which is For like the Oman situation, we considered them allies until the neutrality was a problem for us, and now we are going to bomb them too. Unless they behave, essentially. Take a break. Save. Excellent, thank you. Oh, hydrate. Help, I can't keep up. I save my points for one thing. You have plenty of them. For that, I think. Shall we? I'm going to... Let's listen to some music. Let's watch some videos, I think, and I'll take a break really quick. I'm going to put on Stalin. The Stalin tribute. To start with. Oh, I'm talking to you guys with my mic muted. I'm sorry. There's an ad break. I'm gonna go to the lobby screen and then we will play music. I'm going to take a break. Sorry, 1 sec.
달연 태듯이 시련 속에서 우린 더 강해지려라. 그때의 강을 따라 만나는 기려 찬찬 행동 후에 진심은 우린 멈춰서지 않는다. 우린 두려움을 버린다. 우린 폭풍치며 나간다. 사회주의 승리의 길로 세계 향기 날리며 나가는 우리 사회 주의의 강국은 예쁜 세월이 현도의 방위 펼치 찬란한 미래로 세대를 이어가며 곧바로 가리라. 우린 멈춰서지 않는다. 우린 두려움을 모른다. 우린 폭풍치며 나간다. 사회주의 승리의 길로. 우린 멈춰서지 않는다. 우린 두려움을 모른다. 우린 폭풍치며 나간다. 사회주의 승리의 길로. 우린 멈춰서지 않는다. 우린 두려움을 모른다. 우린 폭풍치며 나간다. 사회주의 승리의 길로.
Hello, comrades. There we go. Hey, Truffle, come here. Truffle started talking to me just now. I am on. Oh, hold on. It's getting CNN is getting mad at me. The CNN World. I imagine we don't have a crazy long time. Sorry, trying not to use crazy anymore. I imagine we don't have a very long time before we make our transition. It doesn't seem like MP has gone live yet. But thank you, comrade. I am doing my best to keep my appearances up because I go through like periods, but I've been trying to show us the dog. Truffle. Hold on, let me get stuff out of the way. Let me get my paraphernalia out of the way. Oh, no, hold on. I'm all plugged in over here, Smash. Truffle! Truffle! Come here! She's laying down. Her bed moves to essentially wherever I'm at. And she will get mad if her bed is not there. So if I'm sitting at the kitchen table, Prince, oh, these? Is this what you're referring to? These are glass. I can't get you. You're plugged in over here. You're plugged in over there, so I can't pull you this way. But these are glass. So the branches are glass, the flowers are glass, the bird is glass, all the leaves are individual pieces of glass that are all just placed on here. We have 4 of them. They each have a different scene. There's some this way as well. And they have been in my husband's family for a very long time. They come from the Philippines. My husband is Filipino. They are essentially pretty much, so everything that we have in our entire house was gifted to us by either my family or his family. So we have furniture that has been in his family forever. We have this incredible hand-carved we have 2 hand-carved Filipino tables. We have 2 incredible hand-carved Filipino tables. One is like an end table and one is like a coffee table. And then we have these that are all from the Philippines that have been in his family forever. They're amazing. But we've been extremely fortunate that our families have taken such incredibly good care of us because we have a fully furnished apartment and house without having to purchase any furniture of our own. It's been amazing. having such incredible support from our family. Flexing, humble flex. We recently got a couch that isn't 150 years old because it was gifted to me by my sister because my sister got a couch and didn't know what to do with her old one. But the couch that we were using previously was like his family's couch and had needed to be restuffed probably 30 years ago. Brazilian cousins, I did not know that. I know that I do know that actually so my husband is a chef. He is a chef at a kitchen attached to a beach resort. So it's like you can go to the restaurant without staying at the resort. It's just like a restaurant in the area. But the same person owns the beach resort and the restaurant, and then also owns the general store. And so he operates all three of them like in tandem to each other, even though they're all three like separate businesses. But the pastry chef who would stock the general store because they serve like coffee and pastries in the morning for the people staying at the resort was for like a year. His first year there, she was a Brazilian woman, and they had an extremely close relationship. And when her mother came to visit, she worked in the kitchen with them. And so my husband oftentimes knows like lots of little fun facts about Brazil, and will like share them with us. Or us, me and Truffle, us, the two of us. But I don't know if that's anything specific to do with being like cousins to Brazilian people. I can check with him to see if he knows anything about this. My friend Jessica is Afro-Latina, and my husband is Filipino. Her father is Mexican, and so they bond over their mutual hatred of Spain, which is why you see me in Madeline's chat going, you can't be too nice to Spain. My husband hates them. Madeline is on Twitch. My husband hates Spain for what they did to the Philippines, essentially. Talking to real chat. Oh, excellent. Let's go raid, friends. Thanks for hanging out, friends. I will be back again tomorrow for the same exact thing. We will drink some coffee, read some headlines, and then at the end we will raid Madeline. I'm starting the raid right now. Thanks for hanging out. I had a great stream today.